Seeing Grandma's cheek turn red from Karen's slap broke my heart. She didn't cry, just stood strong, her eyes fierce. I wanted to scream, but that spark in her gaze, calm, unshaken, made me believe she'd win this fight. It was a bright, sunny afternoon, the kind where the sky's so blue it feels like nothing could go wrong. I was in the parking lot of our local grocery store, helping my grandma load bags into her old hatchback. I'm 25, just a regular guy who loves spending time with her. Grandma's 70, small, with gray hair tied in a neat bun, but she's got this spark, like she's tougher than she looks. She's my hero, always has been. When I was a kid, she'd bake me chocolate chip cookies and tell me stories about her life. We were laughing about something silly, maybe her bad parking skills, when it happened. Out of nowhere, this woman stormed up. Let's call her Karen. She was loud, waving her arms, her face red like she'd already decided to ruin someone's day. Grandma had accidentally bumped her cart into Karen's shiny SUV while grabbing a bag. It wasn't a big deal. No scratches, no dents, just a tiny tap. But Karen acted like Grandma had smashed her car with a hammer. She started yelling, calling Grandma names like, stupid old lady, and idiot. I felt my blood boil, but Grandma just smiled politely, saying, I'm sorry ma'am, it was an accident. Then it happened. Karen stepped forward and slapped Grandma right across the face. Art. The sound echoed and I froze, my heart dropping. Grandma stumbled a little, her cheek turning red, but she didn't cry or yell. She just stood there, staring at Karen with this calm look that gave me chills. I wanted to jump in, to scream at Karen, but Grandma raised her hand to stop me. It's okay dear, she said softly. My stomach twisted, I was furious, worried, but also confused. Why was she so calm? That's when I realized, Karen had no idea who she was messing with. We were almost done loading groceries into Grandma's car, chatting and joking like always. The parking lot was busy, cars honking, carts rattling. Grandma, being her usual self, was trying to juggle too many bags at once. As she pushed our cart back, it accidentally tapped the bumper of a shiny black SUV parked next to us. No damage, not even a scratch, just a light bump. I didn't think twice about it, but then I heard her. Karen. She came charging over like a bull, a middle-aged woman with big designer sunglasses perched on her nose, her purse swinging wildly. She had this, I'm better than everyone vibe, screaming about her expensive car before she even checked it. Watch where you're going, you old hag. Karen shouted, pointing at Grandma. Her voice was so loud, people nearby turned to look. You're useless. Can't you see my car's brand new? Grandma, sweet as ever, stayed calm. I'm so sorry ma'am, she said softly, hands folded. It was an accident. There's no harm done. But Karen wasn't having it. She stepped closer, towering over Grandma, spitting words like clumsy and pathetic. I clenched my fists, ready to say something, but Grandma's eyes told me to stay quiet. Then, out of nowhere, Karen lost it. Maybe because Grandma wasn't begging or crying, she raised her hand and slapped Grandma hard across the face. The crack echoed and my heart stopped. Grandma stumbled, her cheek bright red, but she didn't fall or cry. She just stood there, staring at Karen with this steady, piercing look. People gasped, some pulled out phones, recording. I was shaking, furious, ready to lunge at Karen, but Grandma touched my arm. Let me handle this, dear, she said, her voice low but strong. Seeing that red mark on her face broke my heart, but her eyes had this spark, like she wasn't scared at all. It hit me, Karen was in way over her head. As Karen stood there smirking, thinking she'd won, I couldn't help but remember who Grandma really was. She wasn't just my cookie-baking, storytelling grandma, she was a total badass. Back in the day, she was a police officer for 30 years, patrolling the toughest streets in town. I thought about a story she told me once, late at night over tea. She was on duty alone when she got a call about an armed robbery at a corner store. 3 guys, all bigger than her, were waving knives, scaring everyone. Grandma walked in, cool as ice, and talked them down. By the end, they were on the ground, cuffed, no shots fired. That's the kind of woman she was, fearless, sharp, and always in control. Grandma didn't just know how to handle a badge, she was trained to take down troublemakers without breaking a sweat. She could flip a guy twice her size with a self-defense move she practiced for years. Her instincts were like a hawk's, nothing got past her. I remember her saying, "You don't need to yell to win. You just need to be smarter." That's what made her different. She'd face bar fights, car chases, even gang trouble, and come out on top, all while keeping her heart kind. Now, watching her stand there, I saw that same fire. Karen thought she'd scared some helpless old lady, but Grandma was already 5 steps ahead, sizing her up like she used to do with criminals. Grandma taught me to stand tall against bullies, to never let them walk over you, but to stay fair. She'd say, right always wins if you're patient. That's why she was so calm. Karen wasn't the first loudmouth she'd faced, and she wouldn't be the last. My chest swelled with pride, knowing Grandma wasn't just strong. She was a legend who'd spent her life putting people like Karen in their place. Grandma straightened up, wiping her cheek where Karen had slapped her. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp, like a storm brewing quietly. She looked right at Karen and said, "Ma'am, you just made a big mistake." Her voice was steady, not loud, but it hit like a punch. Karen laughed, tossing her hair, thinking she was still the queen of the parking lot. "You? A mistake," she sneered. "I'll call the cops right now and have you arrested, you old bat." She pulled out her phone, waving it like a weapon, sure she'd scare Grandma into begging. But Grandma didn't flinch. She just smiled, a small knowing smile that made my skin tingle. "Go ahead, call them," she said. "I know a few." Then, casual as if ordering coffee, she took out her phone and dialed a number. "Hey Mike," she said, her tone light. "Got a situation here at the grocery store." Mine swinging by. I could hear a man's voice on the other end, chuckling like they were old friends. Karen's smirk vanished. Her eyes darted around and I saw her hands start to shake, her phone slipping a little in her grip. People in the parking lot were watching now, some pulling out phones to record. Whispers spread, shoppers muttering about Karen's outburst, pointing at her like she was the one in trouble. The air felt heavy, like everyone was waiting for something big. Karen's face turned pale. She tried to laugh it off, but it came out weak, like she knew she'd crossed a line. I stood there, heart racing. I was so proud of Grandma, her strength, her cool head, but part of me still worried. She was tough, no doubt, but she was still my sweet Grandma, the one who shouldn't have to deal with people like Karen. Yet watching her stand tall, I knew she had this. Karen was about to learn that lesson the hard way. A police car rolled into the parking lot just minutes later, lights flashing. Out stepped a tall officer with a grin. "Hey Sarge, still causing trouble?" he said, giving Grandma a warm nod. My jaw dropped. He knew her. Turns out, he was one of her old partners from her cop days. Karen's eyes widened, her phone now limp in her hand. Grandma, cool as ever, pointed to her red cheek and explained what happened, her voice steady. "This lady hit me over a cart bump," she said. I chimed in, telling him how Karen screamed and slapped her. Other shoppers nodded, and one guy held up his phone, saying, "I got it all on video." The officer watched the clip, his face turning serious. It showed Karen's slap clear as day. Karen stammered, trying to spin a lie. "She attacked me first," she cried, pointing at Grandma. But the video didn't lie, and the officer just shook his head. "Ma'am, you're in enough trouble," he said. Then came the moment. Karen's hands were pulled behind her back and click, handcuffs snapped on. She whined, tears streaming, saying, "This is a mistake," as people watched, some even clapping. It was assault, plain and simple, especially since Grandma was elderly. Grandma didn't back down. She said she'd press charges, making sure Karen would face a court date, maybe even fines or picking up trash on weekends. Then the store manager marched out, having seen the video. "You're banned from my store," he told Karen firmly. "We don't tolerate this." Karen's face burned red. She turned to Grandma begging, "Please let it go." But Grandma looked her dead in the eye and said, "You need to learn respect, ma'am." The crowd cheered and Karen shuffled to the police car, head down. Grandma turned to me, her eyes twinkling, and winked. "Told you I could handle it," she said. I laughed, feeling lighter than ever. She was unstoppable. With Karen gone, Grandma and I got back to loading groceries like it was just another day. The parking lot felt quieter now, the crowd thinning out. Grandma was calm, humming softly, but I couldn't hold it in. I dropped a bag and hugged her tight, squeezing her small frame. "You're amazing, Grandma," I said, my voice shaky. She patted my back, chuckling. "Oh, sweetie, I've dealt with worse Karens in my day," she teased, shrugging it off like she hadn't just taken down a bully. Then she grinned, her eyes soft. "How about I bake you some cookies tonight?" That was Grandma. Tough as nails but sweet as sugar. A few days later, we heard what happened to Karen. She got slapped with a big fine and had to do community service, scrubbing park benches or something. The video of her meltdown went viral around town, shared on local Facebook groups. People couldn't stop talking about Grandma. "This granny's a legend," one comment said. Others called her the coolest cop ever. I showed her the posts and she just laughed, saying, "Let them talk. I'm just glad I taught her a lesson." Looking back, I'm so proud of Grandma, not just for handling Karen like a pro but for who she is. She's strong, sure, but it's her kindness that sticks with me. She taught me to stand up to bullies, to keep my cool, and to always do what's right. I'll never forget that day watching her turn a bad moment into something good. Moral of the story? Don't mess with my grandma, she's retired, not tired.